Was that always your plan?
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't say it's always my plan, but at some point around middle school, maybe early high school, I saw the movie The Green Berets, and there were
Great movie.
actually like three of us that were like, yeah, that looks like something I want to do. Um, two of my buddies were a year ahead of me. They ended up kind of paving the way. One of which, my buddy Brian Edwards, ended up ultimately being sergeant major over all of Special Forces Command. So he
Damn.
was a year ahead of me. He went directly to SF right out of high school. I wanted to do the same, and then I signed up on delayed entry a year in advance, and they said, "Hey, I'm sorry to tell you, there's no more straight high school to SF contracts anymore. Those aren't a thing. They went away for a pretty long time."
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, you can go to Ranger Battalion," and I had already talked enough and done enough research in the pre-internet age that that I figured that would be a good number two plan. Would be go to Ranger Regiment. What I didn't know at the time was that was absolutely the best thing on the planet that could have happened to a stupid 18-year-old kid that didn't know shit but thought he had it all figured out.
Yeah.
Because the discipline that I got in Ranger Regiment and the foundation that I built in Ranger Regiment, and you guys know this because you know the Marine Corps. We've often Ranger Regiment has often been accused of being the Department of the Army version of the Marine
Yeah,
Corps.
yeah,
And I think in a lot of ways it's very true. And back in the '80s, we still wore high and tights. People
yeah.
would confuse us with Marines everywhere we went. I remember going to Paris Island in some time off capacity and having a drill like start dressing me down like I was a boot. And I went to parade rest and I said, all due respect, drill sergeant, uh, I'm a specialist in the United States Army. And he's like, "Oh, Ranger?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Carry on." And he let me do my thing because I was wearing a midriff T-shirt. That's why he was yelling at me.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh man, he was pissed. I thought steam was gonna fucking come
That
out of
was
his ears.
notorious. Like I remember when I first came in the Marine Corps, it was like you had a high and tight in the Ranger Regiment. Officers enlisted,
Yeah.
it didn't matter. Then it was like what, like 02, 03, 04 maybe they started relaxing the grooming standards.
Yeah, it was sometime in GWAT, maybe a little bit before that, but
Yeah,
but I know, on through all of the '80s, it was you got a fresh haircut every Monday morning,
yeah,
or you were telling somebody why not. So
yeah. That's Tyler. That's the Marine Corps as a whole. If you didn't have like, especially in the grunts, if you didn't have a fresh haircut on Monday, you were. I mean, I heard like you would get thrashed and stuff like that. I
Yep.
can
My son.
only imagine what the Ranger Regiment was in the '80s with that.
Yeah.
yeah,
My,
it was a different era.
yeah. I call my son every Saturday, and it's either before or after his haircut. So he does. It's a week. Yeah. So it's a weekly thing.
I have
Understood.
to admit, Mike, as I got up in rank as being a dirty officer, still got a haircut. Look, I've been retired since December of last year. Still get a haircut once a week, but I used to get my haircuts, especially when I was out of the infantry, like when I was like in the reserves and something. But if I went on orders, I would get them on Wednesdays because I didn't want to sit in the barber shop on a
Yeah,
Sunday
right.
and wait. Because then
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
didn't want to be the dick that like someone was like, oh, there's the captain, there's the major. And they're like they make you cut the line, and you like then there's like all these lance corporals that like they have to get it done because they got to go back and clean their barracks, and they're gonna get thrashed on Monday morning, and I'm just gonna walk in and be like, no, I that's why I stayed out of there.
Yeah. I
Fair
had
enough.
I had a really good platoon sergeant for a while. I mean, I had several over my time there, but a guy by the name of Keith Kessinger, and he was like the epitome of like taking care of the troops. And on Fridays, we would do this quite a bit. On Fridays, he would say, "All right, take a long lunch and get your hair cut, so you don't got to worry about it over the weekend."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
we'd go as a squad, and we'd sit in there, and everybody'd get their hair cut, and then we'd all go and get a pizza or something like that, and then go back to work for the afternoon to get released for the weekend. And yeah, it was that was a good leadership thing because he was looking out for the troops,